So, welcome you to our very special event. We are pleased to welcome you on the online event hosted by Computools, automated hotel and restaurant enhancing guest experience through technology. Event tailored for professionals in the hospitality industry, focusing on the automation of hotels and restaurants. During this event, experts from Computools will provide valuable insight and practical tips and share best practice in the field. Before we start, let me remind you of the event's agenda. Today, we will discuss important restaurant and hospitality automation topics and how they can improve customer experience. We have some distinguished speakers who will share their knowledge and expertise in the areas. Waleed is going to bring his expertise and personalizing the restaurant experience through digital transformation. Yaroslava will tell us everything we need to know about automating the hospitality industry. And Oleg will answer most burning questions that concern you. Now, as for the question, we offer you to write all your questions in the chat during the speaker presentation. There will be a time to answer your question in the end. This way, you can ask your question now and we will answer them later. Okay, now I will give the floor to our first speaker, Waleed. Waleed is head of digital innovation. He will speak about personalizing in restaurant experience through digital transformation. Stay tuned as his keynote will contain valuable information and helpful ideas. So, Waleed,
Hello. Do you hear me fine, Alex?
everything is very well. Great connection.
Yeah, thank you so much. So let me start. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed colleagues, and distinguished guests, thank you for joining us today as I'm thrilled to talk about digital transformation in the restaurant industry. By streamlining and automating internal processes, smooth operational workflow and optimal customer service is guaranteed. And the beauty of this is that it does not seek to entirely replace human interaction. Instead, it focuses on workforce optimization to deliver quick, high quality service that exceeds expectations and makes our lives better, right? So we're going to be looking at it in two different sections. One would be focused on the guest side, which is the guest functionality, and the other one would have administration functionality. So let's get right into it. So once we look at the guest functionality, we have dropped it down into four simple steps, right? Step one, when we look at it, is looking for a restaurant. Step two would be the reception. Step number three would be the restaurant. And step number four would be the experience after the visit as well. Because, just fine dine and leave is not where the experience ends right now. So if you look into looking for a restaurant, here we'll discuss the process and how an integrated software solution can simplify and enhance this experience for potential guests. So nowadays, people do not only expect mouth-watering food, they also expect comfort, convenience, and accessibility when choosing a dining destination. And this is actually where technology steps in to bridge the gap between traditional dining and modern digital landscape. Restaurants must establish a strong online presence through user friendly websites, internal applications of the restaurant itself, and partnership with delivery services such as Uber Eats, Grubhub, Deliveroo, and so on and so forth. Me personally, I'm a fan of Uber Eats. I think they know me by now that I love to order food, and it just makes my life so much easier when my favorite restaurants on there, right? So by embracing these digital tools and meeting the evolving needs of their customers, restaurants can enhance the experience of searching and choosing a dining destination, whether it is a guest who wants to come in person, physically enjoy the experience, or whether it's somebody who's sitting at home in the comfort of their bed or their dining room, right? And they want to have a good time with good food. So this is something that can really, really help and can be a game changer. So once you look at the reception part, it focuses on the crucial role of technology in enhancing customer experience, right? So as we know, that sometimes when you come to a restaurant and you have to spend 5 to 10 minutes just standing there telling them your reservation numbers, telling them your name and everything, this experience can be a little unpleasant just because you just have to spend 10 to 15 minutes just standing at a place looking for a table where they look for the table for you and stuff like that, right? So what this does is that, picture this: upon arriving at a restaurant, guests can easily download the application using a QR code, granting them access to a shared online menu, various additional features where they can pick food preferences, where they can pick the table, where they can pick every single thing as soon as they arrive, so they don't have to stand in lines and wait for people or wait for the staff to attain to them. So this beauty of this system is in the convenience that it's offered, right? So that's something that again makes the guest's experience way, way, way better. It makes everything quicker, it's faster, and the staff doesn't have a lot of stress as well. So moving on, when we look at the restaurant type, so we look at the in-app food recommendations according to this person's needs, right? And we know that for exceptional customer service, it's crucial to have a personalized experience just because you cannot have the same experience for every single one and expect people to enjoy it. So people do need that personalization touch, and this is something that can really help with that. Again, like I said, with the table booking and everything, it can be done in advance. It can be done when these people arrive. A guest has come, they scan the QR code, they open it, and they check whatever is available, and they can, book it for them or take it for them, or at least know which is available and go and sit there instead of asking or spending a lot of time on that. So another thing that they can do is, instead of raising their hand calling for the waiter, just because you and I have spent 5 minutes waiting for the waiter to look at us and just give them a little wave, what you can do is you can just tap on the app, and the waiters, the staff, they get notified. And if you need anything, you either get a message, or you can physically then approach the customer and you can ask them what kind of service do they require. So on top of that, these apps can help place orders. So if I'm sitting and I don't want to, straight away put my order in, I can tell them to wait. I can use this app and I can put the order in however I want, wherever I want, and then um, I can also, uh, you know, choose my preferences. And for example, if a guest orders something regularly, it will straight away come up in the recommendations or in the for you section, right? And in the subsequent visits, what it does is it creates a faster and more personalized ordering experience as well. Again, another thing which could be pleasant, just because if I forgot what I had the last time and I come in and it's on top of my for you, it means, hey, this is what I'm getting, and it makes my life easier in terms of choosing what I want to eat. After placing an order, the customer or the guest can also in real time look at the food preparation roadmap. So as soon as the order is placed and it has started to get processed, they get notifications, right? So orders being processed, it's being in the kitchen, getting ready. So at this point, when I get a notification that my food is ready to be served, I know I've got to get up, go wash my hands, come back, because I don't want the food to wait for me. And I know this is the optimal moment where I need to go get up, wash my hands, come back, and be ready to just, devour that meal. So that's something which, again, I would like to say would be really, really, really pleasant. As a person, because now I have visibility. Now I can see as a guest or as a client. I have visibility over everything, and now I see. And I would love to have that kind of visibility, because when there are so many people in a restaurant and I visit and I'm waiting for them to at least give me like some kind of a hint that my food will be soon. It's sometimes isn't like the most pleasant experience, right? So once you've had that food, and once you have you know finished, there's an option where you can make the payment straight via the app. Again, one tap, two tap, that's it. You're making the payments, you're a happy person, and then you leave, right? Another thing that you could do is you can leave tips, which is, again, you know we do appreciate good service, and we try to tip for it. So that's another option which is already in the app, so you don't have to physically go to the counter or tell the waiter or anything. You could just leave it there, as much as you want, and that's that. After that, it will prompt you most probably about a satisfaction survey that you can leave as well, so the restaurant can understand what kind of experience did you have. And then, if need be, if you want to order foods for delivery or takeaway, you could do that straight away from the app as well, even after you finish dining. And that's something, it's completely up to you, which is, again, a good option to have. And indeed, the use of technology in restaurants um, extends far beyond the guest stay, like I said before. And software solutions can help preserve this guest data, allowing the restaurant to harness this valuable information for various purposes, such as promotions, personal offers, discounts, so on and so forth. And by retaining these guest preferences, the restaurant can ensure that they have a personal, tailored experience for the customer during future visits, effectively avoiding any misunderstandings, such as serving them allergens, right? So you wouldn't want that. Furthermore, the preservation of the order history, like I said before as well, because I don't always remember what I ordered, but I want to order the same thing again. And if I have this order history straight with me as a guest, I am the happiest person ever, just because now I know what I've been having and I want what I want to have again. So this invaluable insight allows not only the restaurant but the guest as well to have an experience which is, I would say, not forgettable, just because if you're having personal tailored experience somewhere, I'm sure you would appreciate it, and you would, not forget it, and you would return to this place just because they have had uh, good food. That's the first thing, of course. But if they have good service, you would return. But if they had good food but had the worst service ever, you're not returning, right? So that's it from the guest side. Now we take a look at the admin side as well, where we look at things from the administration functionality, and how technology can help the administration side and make their lives easier, just because having a happy staff is, I would say, one of the main reasons why a business would be successful, right? So administration functionality, of course, has slightly more steps, just because um, guests come, they eat, they leave, but the whole administration side is a lot of work being done in the background, which the guest doesn't have to see. But anyways, once you look into the reception, right, if a staff person or a waiter comes to you and they want to ask you, you've just come in, you don't want to download their QR code app or anything, and you want to schedule, or you want to sit down right now, they would have a tablet, for instance, and they would be opening it and they'd be looking at it and they'd be like, hey, table number 2, 5, 6, 7, whatever is free, you can take that, right? So they can also track food delivery orders and future table bookings or current table bookings as well, in order to not double book, and make sure that whoever's coming gets a free table, not a table which would be busy in the next 30 minutes, right? So once we look at the restaurant side, we are looking at, again, in-app orders that have been placed they're straight away there, right? And they have a list of what orders have been placed and however is going on. Then they have the option to have a direct communication with the kitchen and within the staff as well. So for internal communication, it can be a great tool. Then they can look at the delivery services as well, just because it's another thing going parallel, right? So people are coming in physically and they're having everything with you. They're dining within the house, but then there are people who are delivering as well, and you have to take care of everything as well. So again, guests, when they place orders and everything, they can choose their food preferences and everything. So if somebody's vegan or somebody likes halal food, they can just choose that, and they can leave that information with the staff, and the staff can then look at it and then proceed accordingly. Another thing that I would like to point out here is the sensors that can be installed. Imagine utilizing IoT devices, right, which would be conditional sensors, and they could be placed on each table. And when somebody occupies the table, the sensors automatically would then update the system, signaling that the table is no longer available. And what that does is it allows the staff to promptly identify available tables and seat guests without delay, right? So that's another beauty of the whole thing. Just because, again, you know, it's not trying to replace the humans. It's actually trying to be a tool that will help them serve customers to the best of their ability, right? So uh, the staff at the restaurant can also see the ordering roadmap, and they can see whenever something's ready. So if they see that something's ready to be served or something, they could just get up, get it, and bring it to the customer. They don't have to run around 15 times just to understand or ask if their food is ready or not. And then the guest doesn't have to ask very often as well, hey, when will my food be ready, right? Just because they have that access as well. After the guest has you know consume their meal, they can pay through the app as well. They can leave tips, they can leave satisfaction surveys, which would be visible to our staff, and they can take care of every single thing from their end as well. So a small example which I would like to just present over here in terms of the availability of tables. Like you see, table 3, table 1, and table 8 are going to be busy. So if somebody comes in at 12:30, or let's say 12:15, I know that I shouldn't be giving them these tables, just because people usually do take more than an hour to come, sit down, order food, have it, and leave, just because everything takes time, right? So I don't want to do something and I don't want to be in a scenario where Carla comes in at 1 p.m., for example, and she's like, hey, why is my table busy? And then you have to either ask the current guests to move or ask Carla to move to a different table, which again can result in an unpleasant experience, right? So if somebody comes in, I know table number 5 and table number 7 are free, and depending on the number of people that came in or whatever view they prefer, they can choose one of these two, and that's the only option that they have, just because the other tables are busy at the moment. How convenient is that? Like, I love the idea, right? Another thing that I want to point out here is, once you're ordering, you see, you have the menu right in front of you. Then on the right side, you see the table number, right? You see the order that's been made, and then you have some information. So if Lindsay's ordering, Lindsay's details are here, and then there's a discount as well, which is for Lindsay's 10%, lucky Lindsay, right? And then another thing that I want to point out here is that all these calculations are done automatically by the app. So you don't have to, jot something down or bring out a calculator and start typing stuff and making, calculations. So all of this is done uh, internally, and you just have that final sum. So if but somebody says, hey, I need your help in payment, and you go there and you're like, hey, would you like cash or some other method of payment, which could be debit card, credit card, gift card, whatever you would like in your restaurant, right? So people can also, the beauty of this is they can divide. So if somebody wants to pay, like if Lindsay wanted to pay $100 with cash and 150 via gift card, she does have the opportunity to do that as well, which is again a great possibility for guests who are coming in. And having the best time of their life and good service is what they would admire as well, right? So moving on, I would say that these integrated software solutions offer uh, amazing restaurant warehouse management systems, right? Uh, Usually, warehouse management is overseen by an assigned supervisor, right? And they take care of everything which is going on. And imagine if there's one supervisor who's taking care of a whole restaurant warehouse, no matter how big or how small, it can be a lot of numbers. There can be a lot of products, ingredients, a lot of different things. So now imagine this person has an automated tool in their hands to help them out. How easy is their job going to be? And it's not about just their job being easy, it's about streamlining the processes and making sure that there are no errors in terms of the calculations and everything is super organized, right? So the software can issue automated and defective, like automation for defective goods as well. So if there's something defective coming in from the supplier, right, even before it gets into the warehouse, all of this can be checked, and it can help issue notifications to the suppliers for defective goods. So that's pre-warehouse. And once everything is in the warehouse, or which already is in stock, right? The supervisor or the person in charge, or anybody in charge actually, or has access to the app, can look at the stock availability dashboard. So they know whatever and however and how much quantity is available. And then what they see along with that is their lifetime, and they can filter all these things according to their needs. Then, if there's any pre-treatment required before storage, uh, it can be tracked automatically there as well. So, for example, if you look at your fish or meat, uh, if they need to be pre-treated, all these things can be recorded as well. And if something is getting low in terms of number or stock availability, uh, they can be automatic orders placed with the suppliers, or you can set it up to your liking, right? So it can just notify you that, hey, this is getting low. If you don't want the system to automatically reorder something, you can still do it manually, but it will still give out notifications. Another thing that I really love here is that it can notify you about expiration dates, right? So what it can do is it can just generate a whole list of products, you know, depending on their expiration dates. So if something's getting expired in a week, and then there's the same ingredient which be expired in a couple of months, so it could just let you know that it's better to use the one which would be expired in a week. It's good right now, it's not expired already, but ensuring that this product will be used before it expires is something that is really amazing, just because it minimizes food waste and it makes sure that uh, everything is organized, and we're not just throwing or chucking things out in the bin at the end of the week, right? Another thing that I like here is that sensors can be stored in the warehouse which monitor humidity and temperature. So we all know high humidity and high temperature means a lot of spoiled food, right? So we don't want that in a restaurant warehouse. So what it does is it's either one of these two things. First, if the humidity or temperature is too high, it will just notify. That's something you can look at, and whoever is in charge can just take a look at it, make sure that they do the right things to make it optimal again. Or it can be set up automatically, so when temperature or the humidity reaches a certain level, which can be set by again the person who's in charge, uh, it would automatically turn on the ACs or the dehumidifiers or whatever that's required to again do everything to make sure the conditions are optimal. So moving on, we will dabble a bit into how integrated software solutions can empower kitchen personnel. How would they streamline and optimize their cooking process for increased efficiency and improved customer experiences, right? So, so the order flow, how's it coming? In terms of who came first. So if Julia came first and she ordered something, and if John came after like 2 hours, not 2 hours, or like 20 minutes, and John ordered something, you know that Julia's first in the priority list just because she came 20 minutes earlier. She put the order first. In restaurants, the first come, first serve policy, right? So once the kitchen personnel are able to see that, okay, Julia came first, and then this person came, and then this person placed the order, they know that in what order should they handle the preparation, right? So which means that Julia won't leave being an unsatisfied customer just because John was served first, even though he came later. So all of these mix-ups and everything, nobody has to take care of this. This is automatically, um, you know, taken care of. There's a list which is automatically generated in the orders dashboard with guest rating indicators. And another thing that it can do is, so imagine if you order chicken teriyaki for one person and you order chicken teriyaki for 5 people, would the ingredients be of the same amount? Not, right? So what it does is it does the automatic calculations of the quantities of each of these ingredients needed depending on the number of guests or the portion sizes, whatever is needed to be made. So the chef does not have to go like, okay, 4 people, now I have to do this, now I have to calculate, and they don't have to make mistakes. So this minimizes the probability of a mistake, right? And on top of that, it would minimize food waste and optimize costs as well. So you're not making errors, you're saving food and you're optimizing the costs as well. What else can you ask for, right? So uh, that's something really, really interesting. On top of that, imagine if some product in the kitchen ran out and it's supposed to be delivered from the warehouse. So the chef doesn't have to get up, or his assistant doesn't have to get up and leave and get to the warehouse and ask the warehouse person, and then they would get it delivered, right? It will just be longer. And then why should they leave their station, right? Just because they're busy in the kitchen. Maybe there are too many people, right? So what they can do is they can just put the information in the app, couple of taps, and the person who's in charge for the delivery, they would be notified and they were like, okay, and they would bring the necessary product over. So that's really, really, really helpful again for the staff. And then I think something which is really interesting for me is the food is done notification. Usually it's for the waiters, right? Just because the waiter knows that they are going to be serving whoever food is ready. But at this point, like we talked about, the guests are also notified that food is ready to be served. And that's when, like I said, I would get up, wash my hands, come and devour this meal just because, I'm a hungry person. I'm waiting for my food. But anyways, this is something that can really help out the kitchen personnel. And once you imagine all of these things happening in a very busy environment, right? You understand that, okay, like this could be a real game changer just because it would just make everything quicker and it would stop, you know, the people from wasting their time on unnecessary things where they had to like go 5 times to get something. Now they just put in one request and it gets delivered to them, which is just amazing. So moving on to the next step with that, in terms of efficiency, if we're speaking, restaurant inventory management is another thing which involves ordering, storing, labeling, and distributing the restaurant's current assets and managing out of stock goods, right? So what it does is it will take care of all of that, automate every single thing. So these are not generally ingredients. It can be any inventory, right? Maybe it's the wok, right? Maybe it's some kind of utensils. Maybe it's some kind of tables, chairs, or whatever. And maybe depending on where this restaurant is located, maybe there are some guidelines from the health authorities where some utensils cannot be used longer than some period of time, and all of these information, all of this things, all of these things can be, automated, organized, and put in a single place where, you know uh, mistakes or missing out on things, or running out of something and then ordering it very quickly, and you know being in a rush, that could be completely avoided. So again, we have a dashboard that tracks current assets, goods, the reordering, relabeling. We talked about it as well. Then we have uh, the system regulating average depreciation expenses, product lifetime values, condition controls, and every single thing that is required. And with an integration of a POS system, it can automatically deduct inventory quantities, right? And it can help automatically place orders with suppliers if whatever is needed, reducing the need of manually doing everything, manual tracking, manually, placing orders, sitting down, doing a check. Imagine if it's like a huge restaurant, right? I mean, like, how much time would that take? And that's money paid out of the restaurant's profits, right? And then this person's just spending time, counting things, which could be really a lot of time. So what this does is it automates everything, saving a lot of time and money, right? So that's really something that can help in terms of efficiency and optimization of costs, right? Another thing that it does is it generates all these reports. So you don't have to, kind of manually again track anything. All of this information can be taken, put into a report, and can be tracked. So the report for last year, 10 years ago, for example, can be saved in the databases, can be used for comparisons, can be used for anything, or even future planning to understand how can something be optimized, right? So moving on to the next step, where I think another very important aspect is the help uh, to the financial department. And efficient business intelligence is essential here, right? So what it equips the financial department with is uh, the ability to see salary and benefits modules, automate the payrolls and everything straight away, payment processes, benefits management, every single thing. So maybe it's easy for the financial department to manually do it for 10 people, but imagine if there's 70 staff and they just have to pay them each month, right? Imagine paying 70 people manually, each single person, putting in the details, making everything sure, double checking everything, and then making these payments. It could take a while, right? So if you automate this and the system automatically, without making any mistakes, would release these payments to these people. They don't have to double check. They don't have to, check the bank details, and then the probability of making an error is very low, just because the human interaction in these, things are not going to be there in terms of putting in the bank details, which actually saves a lot of time for the financial department, and it can really help um, save time and optimize costs as well. So another thing that the financial departments help with is keeping track of the income and expenses, right? That's basically the most important thing in a business, right? Whatever you're spending and whatever you're generating as a revenue. So all of these reports can be there. It can be looked at. It can give the owners are completely transparent and completely, I would say, in-depth review of wherever they're leaking cash, for example, and they can see what can be done to optimize these costs and make sure that everything is in order. So, moving on, what help does software solution bring to the HR department? So again, HR department deals with huge amounts of data, right? Just because they have got a lot of employees on their hands, right? And they need their data to be managed. They have their personal data, work history, performance reviews, performance records, training reviews, training records, and so on and so forth. And they can use the software to store and manage this information, right? And uh, it can also monitor and manage workloads. So, for example, if John has worked 4 days this week and you're putting in a Saturday shift for the rota, and you know that Julia has just worked for 2 days, now you know that basically Julia would be the best person in this scenario. Why? Just because Julia has worked less and she has less workload and she's not that tired. So if we're doing these and we're monitoring all these workloads, we're making sure that our staff is not burned out, which is again a great thing. Just because a happy and a fresh staff is a happy, a successful business, right? So that's something really nice. Another thing that the staff can do, they can reach out for vacations, sick leaves, and everything straight away to the HR department using the same app. And all these records can be managed and stored within the app itself. There's no need of sending out 15 emails, waiting for the responses to the right person who is in charge. I don't know. So you kind of skip all of that. It's just one request you put in, and the right person would automatically get notified, and it will optimize and streamline the whole process, right? So that's something really, really, really helpful as well. And then I would say from a satisfaction point of view, there's two kind of surveys or two kind of dashboards, I would say, or information that can be saved. One is the employee satisfaction. So how satisfied or how comfortable is the employee working at your entity? Just because it's their happiness is important as well, just because they're dealing with people on a daily, right? So if they're happy, they will have a smile on their face and they will deal with people the best way. But if they're burned out and they're tired and they don't want to be here, so I don't think they will have um, the best kind of experience working with the customers, right? So that's something. And then another thing is what kind of reviews or what kind of survey ratings are these employees getting after serving guests? So when guests leave a review, maybe there's something about the employees as well, right? So if somebody's doing really well and they're getting amazing reviews from people as well, and people are really happy with their service, so the next time a place for promotion pops up, you know who to call. Or if they deserve a raise, they deserve a raise. You know that they've been really doing their best, and this way the person who deserves it the most gets the promotion or the raise, right? So that's something that was really helpful as well. And with using data, it offers us insights to make informed decisions, right? So that's really something that can be helpful. Another thing that it helps the HR department with is, job postings, interviewing candidates, looking at their information, keeping everything into the records and everything. So that's already in the system as well. So you don't have to have 15 spreadsheets for this. It's all in one, and it could just streamline everything. Another thing that I would like to point out over here is the business intelligence side for the C-level offices. So all the reports that we've been seeing that have been generated, as well as different other reports, they can be generated, and the C-level officers, they can just take a step back. Imagine, right? Just take a step back, have all of these reports in front of you when you're running a business, in terms of the financial reports, the food trends, the I don't know, identification of trends in customer behavior, right? Understanding the restaurant workload, HR reports, marketing, sales. If you have all of these things at the palm of your hand, and you could take a step back, open all of them, whichever you require actually, and you could take a look, an in-depth look into how is the business functioning, how is the restaurant doing, and understand where can improvements be made, what is good, what should be brought in for the next season just because it's a really popular dish, what should be removed from the menu just because nobody's ordering it, right? So once you have all of this information in the palm of your hands, I think running a business, making everything streamlined, optimizing the costs, minimizing food waste, all of these things become real, and you have the ability and the opportunity to actually do this. And that's really something amazing for C-level officers. I think whoever's listening to me right now would completely agree with that. So moving on to the next step is the guest profile database, right? So the guests have their profile, which we already understood from the guest point side of the thing, right? So we have access to the guests' profiles, their database dashboard with filters. So we can filter out, like for example, if I need, every single person who has a birthday this week, I could just put a filter in, and it could just show me that, right? So it can also show us the personal guest profiles, including their names, contact info, food preferences, allergies, birthdays, delivery addresses. So if you're delivering or something, the guest already has a profile. They place the order, and we see it already, and we see, hey, Julia's ordering again. Okay, amazing. And then you move on with that, and the customers can put in the advance ordering or reservations, which is again another possibility. And then the staff gets notified, and they can look at all these things and understand, okay, this is what's happening, or this is what we expect will happen in terms of, Mark coming in at 2 p.m. So they are notified in advance. And then, of course, the loyalty programs are there as well, which can really help build customer loyalty, right? Just because if you order the fifth time, you get 10% discount, and all of these things can be tracked as well straight away in the guest profile database, like who's closer to getting the discounts, who is on the loyalty program, who's I don't know, getting to our platinum level just because they've placed 50 orders in the past 2 years or whatever, right? So that's something that can be looked at, planned, understood by the staff and the administration completely. So identification of trends and patterns in customer behavior is another thing that we talked about already, which can really be helpful in terms of future planning, marketing campaigns, enabling the restaurant to cater to the customers more efficiently. So that's something that's really helpful as well. And another thing is, again, after visit. One of the most important aspects, I would say, just because once somebody dines and leaves and you just forget about them, maybe they forget about you as well. But if you have an after visit part where you are still a part of the experience and they're still going to have some kind of interaction with you, that would just kind of put your brand in their mind just because you're around them, right? And that's what we want. We want our customers to return. And we can use customer reviews and service for that, which would be, again, once taken, will be visible to our staff. And if somebody leaves, for example, a bad review or had an unpleasant experience, we can always reach out to them, ask them, hey, what happened, and they can tell us what happened. And then in order to make them feel better, we can always offer them a gift card or discounts or free meals or whatever the policies are, right? So that's something really important as well. And then again, promotional offers, discounts, and everything, which would be really nice. I love them. I think you do too. So that's something which could be, again, really helpful in terms of running a successful business. It can really help you out. So yeah, what I would like to say here is that the future of the restaurant industry actually lies in embracing and adapting to the technological advancements that are shaping the way we live, the way we work, and of course the way we dine as well. From the initial step of looking for a restaurant to, I think, the final stage of, analyzing guest data after a visit, software solutions can play a vital role in streamlining, enhancing, and making the experience tailored to the customer's need, and making the life easier for the restaurant operators. So yeah, thank you so much for listening to me. Thank you so much for asking so many questions. I'm sure Oleg will have a nice time answering you guys. So that's it for me. I hope I wasn't that boring. Over to you, Alex.